put the link to the agenda working doc in the chat. So if anybody doesn't have it, you can pop over there and add stuff in and any questions or anything you want to talk about. So, well, thanks for joining us for our June meeting. Is there anybody that's new joining us for the first time that wants to say hi? You don't have to. Marcos?
I am, yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Marcos Niels. I'm currently based in Argentina, Buenos Aires, and I'm working for a gaming company called Wildlife Studios, formerly TFG. We are only focused on mobile games. We do have some titles like Tennis Clash, Suba, Sniper 3D, very popular ones, have millions of users. And we have developed a gaming, like a server gaming platform in the past called Maestro, which comes from Pomelo, which was written in OJS. And now we are looking to port some of the platform to Agones because the community is bigger, the project is better in general. So, yep, that's it. Happy to meet you all.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Anybody else want to?
Yeah, I will. My name's Danny Harding. I work for a company called Infinity Learning, and we are working on a game for elementary schools and middle schools. And we had one server that we had everything on Kubernetes, and we had one server that, and then we got up to have enough games at once. That was like 10 to 15, and stuff was slowing down. So we wanted to figure out how to scale. So we started using Agones and like the Slack channel, and I just wanted to come listen in today to see kind of what's going on.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. I'm sure with all of our new, quarantine lifestyle, any sort of educational game is an interesting space to be in these days. So
yeah, definitely. We had a lot of teachers who were like, we need something for our kids. We're glad that we had Infinity because the kids did not want to do anything except for when we did an Infinity game.
That's very cool. Very cool. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that looked like that was the only new faces? But all right, cool. Well, looks like first up on the agenda is Mark. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Cool. Nothing too exciting. Just a reminder that release candidate is Tuesday and 1.7.0. Actually, I should put the 1.7.0 RC is next Tuesday, and then stable the release after. Which means that the next few days will be a rush as people try and drop stuff in before the RC hits. So just a reminder that that's coming. If anyone at any point in time has not realized where the schedule is, let me put a link. If you can't find it, if you look at the GitHub repo there's a thing called release process. There is a release calendar link in there. Here, I'll put
it. We can put it in the working doc too, just so.
Yeah. Actually, we should probably combine the community. We should probably put the community meetings on the same calendar and have one calendar. That would be a good thing to do, but
I thought we did that already.
Did we do that? I don't even know.
I don't know. Calendars are weird.
Yeah. Anyway, so in case you were ever wondering when that is. So outside of that, the only thing I wanted to mention was upgrading to Helm 3 in the issues, one of which, Alex, thanks for approving the Terraform stuff. Helm 3 is nice. I am a fan. Helm 2 was a pain. So I think the last remaining bit for that is just needs doing. So updated the docs. Made a note of that. We've updated Terraform. So the only thing to do for us internally is to migrate our dev tooling from an end-to-end tooling to Helm 3, which I've done. Just someone needs to look at my PR and make sure it's fine. And I'm just kind of hand-holding that build process at the moment, just so that we don't end up with one Helm 2 install in our end-to-end cluster plus a Helm 3 install in our end-to-end cluster, which I don't know if it's possible, but if it was, then we could be weird. Actually, I don't even know what it would do. That is actually a really interesting question. But it passed, so it should be fine. But other than that, yeah, that should be the last little bit. But yeah, Helm 3 is nice. Big fan. I think that's really it. It's so much easier to set up from a Terraform and just a handheld perspective. Like, but I actually didn't have to change anything about our chart or anything like that. It was all tooling, so it was super nice. Cool. That's me done.
All right, I think that's Alex's next up.
I just want to mention that I just looking at deployments code. See that they are using calculating all available replicas for all replica sets. So possibly we should treat already replicas that take them into account, and so we can move down to 0 without maximum available in this bug I have attached. So there are some points when we have multiple game server sets, like 3 or more, there could be some issues. So because we are just decreasing by this maximum available for all game server sets, which is bad. And I will start with FeatureGate, and then probably we will move this into the normal code. So, and the second question, I have not looked how it is to release this feature could still roll out. Yeah, if it is like, should we add this or it is not needed? Just a random thought on this topic.
What does kubectl rollout status do?
Yeah, it would show the process, like we have 2 out of 3 replicas updated.
Interesting.
Like this. So if you run this command, it should fail, but that no fleece is registered somewhere. So just say if we need to support, we probably don't have also kubectl explain we have this bug. So for all CRDs.
Does it work for CRDs? I'm just looking. I have no idea.
We should fix somewhere.
There's a thing. There's something we need to do somewhere.
Yeah. I had this while I'm doing fast testing. I see this bug in another open source project, and they was able to make it happen.
Okay. I guess it sounds kind of cool. Maybe we should write up a ticket for the kubectl rollout.
They explain. Yeah. For this boss, for explain exists one.
Yeah,
there is one.
That's cool.
Okay.
With that PR where you're exploring how to do rolling updates based on ready rather than total number, I know it's in draft. Do you need review on that?
Not right now, because
okay.
I'm just refreshing it right now.
Cool. Yeah, okay, cool. I know a lot of us reviewers don't look at draft stuff if it's in draft unless we're like explicitly called in, so I thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
Cool. No, that all sounds good. It makes sense too.
That's it then from my side.
All right, looks like Dom, you're next.
Yeah, so I just wanted to put out there that I have created a new version of the UE4 plugin. I had a number of issues working with the one that is there currently. So the SDK for that is it's kind of out. It's not really up to date at the moment, and it doesn't really fit in with the Unreal workflow. So I have created a new version of it, and I'm going to push it open source and then probably drop a link to it in the development Slack, just so that other people can have a look at it and see if you guys want to try and adopt that version. At the minute, it's not API compatible.
Yep.
It's very similar, but it uses delegates, so it can be used from both blueprints, the kind of draggy-droppy node system that Unreal uses, and C++ at the same time. It refactors quite a bit of the code that was done earlier, so that rather than using ticks, it used time delegates, which is much more efficient. So yeah, I kind of want to put out there that I've got a new version of that I wanted to share, and then start the discussion if you wanted to take that into your project or just have it a reference from the main Agones project. So I will share that later once I split out of our current project into a module on its own.
Sweet.
Awesome.
So one quick question, Don. So you said it's not API compatible, which means
Correct.
that if you had used the old one, you couldn't drop the new one in without making changes.
There's probably
is that the main reason? Is that the main reason in your mind why we might not want to adopt it? I'm trying to think of a reason why we wouldn't want it.
That's the only reason. We could create wrappers around what I've got now, so it acts like the old one. So anyone using the old one could theoretically come over. But yeah, it's more of the interface between the two isn't the same. So that's the only reason why I could see people not enjoying this going into the main branch.
Gotcha. Those are the suggestions I had. I would can you drop it in users, probably because that's where actual the users are in the dev. What I would probably also suggest is do you want to create a ticket on GitHub as well? I've got I can go hunting through PRs and stuff about like who wrote and like who's using all the Unreal stuff, and if we can get some consensus around that from all the people who are actually using Unreal and they're like, it's fine, we don't care, then we could probably move it. I don't know if anyone else feels differently, but that's probably a good place to like reach some consensus.
I think one of the major benefits of the change is that prototyping in Blueprints is quite quick, and it also makes it easy to onboard new people onto UE4 and Agones.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I'll drop something in and then start a discussion around what people would like to do. And maybe what I'll probably do is do some screenshots once I've pulled it out of like the blueprints and how it might be of benefit doing that.
Can I just ask, does that use the proto files? So it's just
it uses just REST, so it wraps the REST API. So it's doing that instead. Protos in UE4 isn't fun.
No.
You also had something around the Alpha SDK and docs.
Yeah. I spent quite a while splunking through the code base trying to figure out how to turn the Alpha for player tracking on via YAML. Well, maybe an unpopular opinion, but really don't like Helm.
I was going to say the YAML. Wow.
So I prefer to use Customize and pure YAML over Helm. So yeah, it took me a while to go and splunk through how to turn that on by YAML rather than Helm. So yeah, I suppose I could, if I could find some time, I'll try and drop something in. But it's literally you just set an environment variable somewhere in the YAML.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be useful. The only other thought I had is, would it be acceptable to do use Helm as just a template generator, and like you could run your own like Helm command and it would spit out a YAML for you? Because that's basically what we do to spit out the install YAML.
Yeah, it's got all the killer attributes on it still. So
you don't even like the attributes. Oh, you're getting really picky. All right, cool.
I don't know. I kind of pull it down from the. I just curl it down and alter it by hand for the bits that I want to add in. So it's not too much of a bad issue as long as you still got that up there somewhere.
Okay. I mean, yeah, super useful. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'll put in a PR out for docs on that then.
But Helm 3 is so nice.
Oh, Helm's horrible. It really is. And especially because then you have to have your own Helm chart repository, and the very generic. So if you want to do anything special, you basically have to recopy and paste the whole Helm chart. No.
As long as you're happy, I'm happy.
Dom, I wanted to go back to the Unreal Engine 4.1 real quick. So I'm looking at issue number 927, where we're tracking like missing SDK functionality in the different languages and engines. And Unreal only has a couple of boxes checked, a whole bunch of sort of missing functionality in the plugin we have right now. The one that you wrote, does it like fill out that functionality and like finish the implementation?
Everything apart from the watch function. So the watch API, I've not implemented that. It's probably not very hard. When I was splunking through rewriting it, I didn't want to tackle that at the time. So it's everything but watch.
Cool. Does that include player tracking?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Apart from
I guess
player tracking, I get 500s back whenever I call the API for some reason.
Probably because it's off.
I was going to say that the other parts there that we're missing are like a simple example for how to use it and conformance tests. So certainly the first part of those would be really, like, conformance tests are a little bit, I think, given licensing, but the simple example of how to use it would be really nice to add as well.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, having like checking off a whole bunch of those boxes makes it a lot more desirable for us to say, like, sorry, we're going to break API compatibility because we have a much more feature complete implementation, right? So like any of that stuff that brings to the table, like, sort of tilts the balance scale, if you will, very heavily in your favor.
Yeah, no worries. I will. What I'll do is part of the repo, I will add the docs that I can. So the first pass of how do you get the health timer running? How do you get the game server allocation? How do you use delegates to do all this? Yeah, I can do that.
Awesome.
Sweet. That sounds really cool. Thanks for doing that work.
Yeah.
All right.
Stephen, what'd you break?
I don't know if you might be using it correctly, but one of the developers mentioned there was an issue. I think when we allocate a bunch of game servers, that it seemed like new ones were readied up one at a time instead of a whole batch of them. And I just thought about, is there any overlap with Alex's kind of stuff he was mentioning? But I guess we should investigate and get a ticket in. Maybe we've got some config set incorrectly as well. And of course, we're not using the Agones allocator as well. We're kind of self-allocating, so that might be the reason. But
it could just be, write up a ticket. It depends on, I don't know.
I mean, it's supposed to ready up a bunch more. Right? It's like if we allocate 5, then quickly, then 5 new ones should be ready instantly.
Well, the fleet autoscaler runs every 30 seconds. So it should just do a delta at that point and create as many as are not there based on buffer settings or whatever that is. So
something with 3 or 30. Sorry, I didn't catch. How many seconds?
30.
Every 30. So maybe.
I'm not. Did we end up documenting that? I remember it came up a while ago, and I was like, "It's every 30 seconds," and someone was like, "Do we actually say that anywhere?" I have a strong feeling that we don't.
Okay, yeah, we'll investigate, and we have some nice graphs now of like number of ready servers and allocation.
Nice.
I think someone did some load testing where they scaled up very rapidly.
Yeah,
that's very much like just like I would like 1,000 game servers, please, and just changing it and seeing how quickly they come up. I don't think we do actually document that.
By the way, we have in Go is the in SDK server we have some 30 seconds time. Okay, I will write it up to the end. I will find this code. Okay. And this 30 seconds is not configurable anywhere.
No, it's tied to and I think there might even be some interesting questions about like whether, so basically the 30 seconds happens because that's the default interval loop for when we do refreshes of the informer. So it just comes through again, like the information just comes through again. To actually change that would be kind of interesting on like a per autoscaler basis. There might be interesting questions about whether like we'd have like autoscaler strategies where it would be like timed versus like on every increase or decrease you recalculate. I know from public videos, I know multiplayer will do it with like on every increase or decrease, they will recalculate every time. I know a bunch of people do it on a time basis. So though with that being said, like not many people have really asked us for anything different. So it seems like it's been fine. I guess if we're doing it on a time basis, people can be like, oh, okay, well, if I know what my time base is in, then whatchamacallit, then I can just adjust my buffer accordingly, and then it seems to be fine. Oh yeah, there's good things that we can be doing extra there. So Stephen is very good at doing reproducible bugs, which is good. Mo, I volunteer you as tribute.
There was an issue with the Terraform example where you weren't able to create a cluster in a private VPC, primarily because it wasn't accepting a subnetwork flag. So I filed an issue and I filed a PR. It should be resolved. Mark, I saw you upgraded it to Helm 3, so I had to upgrade my PR this morning, but it should be all good now.
I'm here for you.
Thanks.
I think it is awesome that there's, so many different folks that are contributing different things, and that'll free up some time for Mark to go create another open source gaming project, because that's apparently what he does. But very, very cool to have everybody jumping in and helping, especially with the documentation, because apparently there are certain things we don't document that we should. Anything else that folks want to talk about, or?
I'm having a look at your stuff today. All right, I'll have a look today. I'll go through PRs today. See if we can get that in.
I have something related to a private conversation that I had with Mark on Slack regarding, we have a use case where we need to use Kubernetes 117 in our organization. You know what I'm talking about, yeah. And of course, we don't have tests against that version, and we don't know if it's even, we even should think about supporting it. But anyways, the first thing that I tried to do is I tried to clone the repo and then run E2E tests on Kind and Minikube. And those don't work because Kind and Minikube do not use a load balancer by default. And the E2E tests try to fetch some metadata information of the load balancer when they run. So the question is, I was working on fixing the E2E tests using Kind locally with Metal LB. I don't know if anyone knows it. But the question is, does it make sense? Do you think it's going to be valuable to the project, me doing this? Or is it going to be only me that is going to use it?
How many of the tests fail? Are there only like a small subset of tests that require
no,
that load balancer?
There's a bunch of allocation tests, especially,
yeah.
I would think, that probably or would fail. I mean, I actually, is there enough resource room on a Minikube cluster? Like our end-to-end cluster tests have got really big. I almost wonder if you can fit them all on a single node. I suppose you could after eventually, or they time out, or does that? That would be my other concern, because we're very used to running on a 4-node cluster, each with 4 CPUs, or 6. Actually, I think it might even be 6-node now. It's getting big. So, yeah.
Is there any conformity test to make sure that we at least a smaller scale E2E test where I want to test if the APIs against Kubernetes work? I don't care about the load test at this point.
So we don't do load testing. One thing I do, so when I'm testing myself, when I'm developing stuff for end-to-end, since it's Go test, you can run individual tests. You don't have to run the full suite.
Okay.
So if you want to I find a good smoke test for some stuff is the game server allocation tests, because usually those will spin up a fleet and then do an allocation, and that's a pretty critical path. So I usually, if I do a release, I do a little smoke test based on 1 or 2 of those tests. And I actually run those in my IDE, and they work fine. And because you're not hitting an allocation endpoint at that point, it should be fine. Those are usually the quick tests that I'll run really quick to see if anything works. As I said to you before, right, you are running on an unsupported version, so if anything breaks, then we'll be cool, please work on a supported version. So
yeah, and I'm
yeah.
happy to do that. The question here is, does it make sense for me to work on fixing the kind testing for like to try the real Kubernetes version locally, or you think we should aim to like people to deploy GKE or EKS or whatever official Kubernetes version on their clusters and then try the E2E tests there?
Probably bigger clusters is easier. I don't know. I have not heard of anyone else trying to run all the end-to-end tests right now on like a Minikube instance. So if you feel it's super important to you, then like.
But why is it there then?
Why is it there? Because it used to run because it was small.
Shall we remove them? If if it doesn't work right now,
you can. I mean, we use that target for. You're talking about the end-to-end client and the end-to-end Minikube things. Yeah. So you know what we could do, which might be nice, is make it so that with the end-to-end tests, you can pass in like a test flag. So if you want to run like an individual test or an individual file test, that would actually be really handy, I think, so that you don't have to run the full suite. And then you can kind of pick and choose if you want to run an individual test on Kind or Minikube. That might be handy. I don't know how other people feel on that. I mean, that would just be useful across everything, I think, anyway.
Cool. Yeah, I think we should also update the documentation on the end-to-end test because the README file on that folder is 2 years old.
Yep.
And there's no clarification about that some tests are not going to work because of the load balancer thing.
That's awesome. The other thing I want to do, like just in that vein, and I think I've actually got it sitting in a queue of stuff I need to push up, is like on the development page, for example, I want to change it to like it says run make test, which would probably run for like at least an hour or two building a bunch of stuff, which is not really tenable. So I want to change that to like just run like test go, so which runs the go tests, which is like much better as like a way to get started. And like if you just want to build, rather than build everything, which includes building like the C++ SDK, which most people won't need, like just building images, like, and so we haven't touched that. So I've got that in a queue of stuff I was going to push up either today or tomorrow. For some of that,
I can get the other thing if you want the end-to-end.
Yeah, that would be sweet. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Perfect.
Love it. Love it. Doing a review of what versions of
I put a link in the doc. There's the Open Source Summit North America conference next week,
right.
which is virtual, so it's not really just North America. So in our new world of virtual events, but at the Google booth, I'm just going to put everything in quotes now. On Monday from 1:30 to 2:30 Pacific, we'll have like open source and gaming office hours, and for the group here, probably not something you really want to necessarily attend because you already are asking any question you have right now on Thursday. Probably won't have much more on Monday, but if you do, we'll be there. And feel free to share with anyone else. I think it's free. I feel like it changed quite a bit as far as what registration would have been for OSSNA. But that is happening. And then it sounds like the KubeCon EU is also virtual. And then, I mean, I don't even know with North America. They haven't officially decided yet, but it's not looking good over here these days. So we will, of course, keep everybody posted, but hopefully we can do, something around that, whether it's a talk or just having kind of an office hours kind of thing. So. Anything else folks want to cover or talk about?
Looking at the current state of versions in GKE, AKS, and EKS, it looks like we'll probably be on track to move to 1.16 and 1.8.0, I think. 117 will be GA apparently in AKS week of July 1st. 117 is currently at the rapid channel for GKE. EKS is lagging behind as per usual. So according to our new rules, we could, I think not in, obviously not in this release, but the next release looks like every second release doing an upgrade. Looks like we'll be on track for that. So just throwing that out there, that stuff's coming. Yay.
Someday everyone will use the same version at the same time.
One other thing that I just
I think 1.16 is a relatively big, if you will, upgrade, because I think it's where they actually removed old APIs from core.
Yeah, I
like
have feelings. Well, I know it's something's coming, right?
Data APIs in 116, and so
yeah,
I don't think we use any of those. Like that shouldn't be a problem. But in general, if people are running like other things on their cluster, like that is likely to be more of a potential breaking upgrade than other Kubernetes upgrade versions.
I'm waiting for the API extension stuff I wrote by hand to somehow break in some version somewhere. I think there's also there's some CRD changes that are coming at some point where like you need to define all the fields that you use rather than just being open to everything, which we can turn off, but I know that's coming as well at some point. When? Yeah, so we might want to jump on that like early in 1.8 and see what breaks.
Yeah, if it looks like stuff's on track.
I had something else I was going to bring up and I forgot what it was. Oh, for us internally, something I really want to do is once I have the Helm 3 stuff in, I want to get rid of deployment manager in our build scripts, our dev scripts, and replace our Terraform tools. I'll have a look at that and come up with some ideas on how we can do that. I just want to see us use the Terraform stuff at least somewhat, at least on Kubernetes upgrades or like setting up end-to-end clusters and stuff. Just so that it's in our hands as developers more often and like bad stuff doesn't necessarily happen, or at least we're trying it a bit more. I think it tends to be a bit ad hoc at this point. Also, there's no reason to have a deployment manager. So I'll think about that. I think we can probably keep like make install, like you could have a Helm that just overwrites that kind of stuff too. But customer beta. Oh, interesting. I don't know what we.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you again. So
that's right.
We use that all over the place, right? We in our Go files we imported, in our YAML files and Helm we use that. So it looks like maybe that means CRD's got V1 instead of beta, which is probably good because it might enable us to support grades and downgrades and so forth in the future. But there's going to be some other stuff that changes as we do that. And it says, I think Marcos was saying 1.17. This is a case where if he was trying to run 1.19, like our stuff just plain old wouldn't work because we're running against an API version that won't be in 1.19, right? So if your version skew gets too big from where you're trying to run, like stuff like this will start to break. I think 1.17, the beta ones are still all turned on, so that wouldn't be a problem. But this is a case where if the skew gets larger, then this is the sort of thing that's going to break. So
that's a good one to identify.
Yeah. So when we switch to 1.16, this won't break right away, but it's something that we should start migrating over, right? So that as we switch to newer versions, we don't get caught out when we get to 1.19.
That makes sense. Hopefully it's not. It sounds like it probably isn't going to be a big change either.
No, I don't think so. But it does mean that older versions will stop working, right? Because older versions that don't have CRDs at V1 that only have beta will stop working, right? So we'll implicitly be cutting off support for some older versions of Kubernetes at that point, which is probably okay because most of the cloud providers don't support too many versions behind where we're at anyway.
So you don't necessarily have a choice,
right?
Unless you're on-prem, just really loving the old versions of Kubernetes.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny when I go to the 1.16 Kubernetes documentation, it says this is no longer being actively maintained. So the version we're not yet at has documentation that is not being maintained anymore. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Like we just didn't want to jump into anything, okay?
Yeah. Every so often the Kubernetes system like changes their documentation and our builds fail. So, because things 404 to go in and fix it, which is fine. It means their stuff is working.
Okay, it sounds like I should file an issue for 1.16 upgrades so we can start capturing some of these things though. And put things like timeline in there.
All right, we've got 20 minutes left. Is there anything else folks want to cover? Or is everyone ready to talk about the new Animal Crossing update that comes next week?
Yeah, I was adding to Slack some message about we have in SDK in Go SDK like 30 seconds timeout to connect to Sidecar. Probably it should be configurable at some very busy Kubernetes cluster. In the bug I also attached, it could be lead to timeout. So and failed.
I was going to say, like, when would the sidecar take longer than 30 seconds to start up?
Yeah, in this bug where I wait for 2 hours, I think it's create lots of events and some overloaded Kubernetes API, I think, in this case. Or I'm not sure how it is overloaded. But
yeah, that doesn't seem like that should be configurable. That sounds like something bad's happening in the cluster. Like if the sidecar is not coming up in 30, like a second or two, then something very horrible has happened, I would say.
But if we add more functionality, not only player tracking but others, could it be longer? Or
even then, like a sidecar that actually takes 30 seconds to spin up, like that's a problem on our end, and we need to fix that because that shouldn't take that long. That thing comes up really fast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think personally. I mean, we can bring a ticket up for it, but like, well, if you set it to a minute, like if a sidecar is taking a minute to spin up or 2 minutes, like that's kind of untenable for us to scale up on. I think at least that's one of my initial thoughts. At least that would be my thought.
Okay,
I think all our SDKs like time out on 30 seconds if they can't connect, because 30 seconds seems like a reasonable amount of time. Yeah, if we've got sidecars that are taking like more than more than 30 seconds, then something is gone wrong with either Agones or Kubernetes, or there's a wrong image for the sidecar or something weird.
Yeah, I just made it one time, only one time. Not sure if it's reproducible.
Yeah, I'd love to know how you managed to break it. That'd be cool. That'd be good to know. I just like it when people break things.
Yeah, I have three bucks.
These are the things that wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. It's probably
Anything else anybody wants to talk about, cover, share? Anything cool with games?
Cyberpunk demo was just shown 30 minutes ago. And I missed it.
Because you were here at the most important thing that you need to be at.
Because I'm here, yeah. I have to catch up with the recording later.
You'll be okay. I think you'll be okay.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Time delay of half an hour, 45 minutes.
Speaking about Kubernetes or watching Cyberpunk demo, I don't know. It's a complex decision, you know?
Yeah, I had a meeting yesterday when the Avengers demo was happening, and my son worked on the game and he does audio, so I was like, I have to watch. It's like something my kid did, but yet I have a meeting. So I had them both split screen. All right. Well, if nobody's got anything else they want to share or talk about, we can have 15 minutes back. If you do happen to be at but if you happen to be logging into the Open Source Summit next week, we'll potentially see you there. Otherwise, we got the Slacks and everything else, and we'll see everybody next month for the next meeting.
I do love the linguistic gymnastics we're all doing to be like, whether I'll be there in person on my computer through a camera, whatever. I'm
Yeah.
So, Robbie, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was asking, April, is there an agenda for that 1:30 p.m. time slot? Is there like any sort of presentation, or is it really just like an open Q&A?
We're just hanging out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like, we've done that physically when we had events where it was like, just come and meet. And this is the first one that the Linux Foundation has done virtual with this platform. So I'm not 100% sure what to expect. But hopefully it'll be, at the very least, you can ask questions of us. And when I say us, that's really anybody that wants to join. And then I'm hoping folks will be able to interact with others, but I just don't know yet. So
text chat from what I've seen. So
yeah. But yeah, and whatever this platform is, I'm sure it'll be the same. I think it's the same one they're going to use for KubeCon EU. So it's kind of like a testing bed to get a sense for what EU is going to happen.
Cool.
And if anybody didn't see, the schedule for KubeCon EU just got updated and came out earlier today. So I think it's over 4 days now, and time zones are more EU friendly, obviously. But they just did an updated schedule today, so there should be some good Kubernetes stuff in there.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you say that it's in the US, I think really what it means is it's time zone US.
Right.
Anybody can join, but it's going to be more convenient because you will probably more likely be awake if you're in that time zone.
Yeah. And that's one good thing about the virtual events is it's really exciting for a lot of folks that normally would have had to fight with visa issues and all that other, mess, that now it's a lot easier to go to conferences. So that's a cool aspect of our new virtual reality.
Pun intended.
Yes. By the way, I have attended one Goland Poland meetup, and then I was got a ticket, like a gift for the good question, and the ticket was for a conference which is also virtual, but in my home city. So it was really like wonderful. A miracle, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what the virtual stuff. We're looking at doing some other kind of, interesting things around virtual, stuff with gaming topics. And like Mark has done his, what is it? Game development drawn badly, or game servers drawn badly? One of the
online game tech drawn badly, where I try and explain.
I was close. Yeah.
Stuff with my subpar illustration skills.
But that is, we do have, plenty of avenues to share out content. So if anybody, has a cool demo or anything that they record and want to share out, we can certainly do that. So, we're flexible with all of our new ways of sharing stuff. So.
And it could be related to Agones development, like Mark did, or it is only his copyright. I thought I could record something that should be helpful, possibly.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So very cool. We welcome it all. And then Mark can give some tips on how to make your streaming setup look awesome.
Pretty cool lights.
Yeah, he's got the cool lights and the cool camera, and
yeah, it's important.
Okay. Yeah, I had like 50 or something videos of tips from Mark. how to record.
Well, for anybody who is like really, interested in that kind of stuff, there is a CNCF work. It's either a working group or a SIG. I can't keep track. That is specifically focused on like open source streaming technology and like tips. So I can send you the link if you're interested, but like they have a Slack group, and that's a lot of it is they're just chatting about, different tools and different things that people are setting up. So I know I myself just decided that I would download OBS, so I'm sure I'll be in there asking questions soon, or I'll just ping Mark because he has nothing else to do.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw only one project when some YouTubers just sit around, open this project for 1 or 2 days and just criticize all the way. Yeah, around.
Yeah. So always interesting. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for joining. I will get this recording put up on YouTube. So if anybody missed, you can share with them. And then we will see everyone very soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.